There is something moving in you right now that you have not yet found the right words for. A quiet rearrangement. A change in what you carry, in what your spirit is reaching toward, in what you no longer feel willing to accept. You have been trying to name it, wondering whether what you feel is growth or restlessness or something you cannot yet place. I tell you now, it is not confusion. It is me. I am at work in you, and what I am building is not small, and it is not temporary. I have decided that where I am taking you next requires a different version of you, not a slightly improved version. Not the same person with better habits or a more disciplined routine. I am talking about something that goes deeper than behavior, a change in what you believe about yourself, what you are willing to carry, and what you are no longer willing to settle for. The version of you that has carried this far was strong. It was strong enough to bring you here, but it was built for a different road. What is coming requires different footing, a deeper foundation, and a strength that does not depend on things staying calm. You may have noticed that certain things are beginning to lose their hold on you. Words that used to leave a mark are landing differently now. Situations that once knocked you sideways are finding you steadier than they expected. Habits you kept for years are starting to feel like weight rather than comfort. Do not dismiss these signals. This is the work. This is me pulling away what is loose, drawing out what was only ever there, because you had not yet learned you could live without it. Every loosening is purposeful. Nothing I am removing from you is being wasted. There is also a new direction forming in your hunger. Things you once chased are quieting in your heart. Things you once overlooked are beginning to matter. You are starting to want different things, not loudly, not dramatically, but the way a river finds its course, not by force, but by persistent and certain movement. The desire in you is shifting, and this is not an accident. I am redirecting what you are drawn toward because where I am leading you requires a particular kind of focus. The old appetite would have taken you somewhere else. This change did not begin the moment you noticed it. It began long before that. It was moving beneath the surface of your days, in the quiet moments when you sat alone and felt something lifting or something settling, and could not explain either. In the nights when thoughts that once felt convincing started to sound hollow. In the mornings when you rose with something new pressing against your chest that you could not name but could not ignore. That was not coincidence. That was me. Building something in you that would not announce itself until it was ready to stand. Declare your amen if you feel this word landing in the right place. You are not manufacturing this change. You are not conjuring it through willpower alone. This is a work I am doing from the inside out, the kind that cannot be produced by effort without my hand behind it. I am rebuilding how you understand yourself, how you relate to your own life, and how you carry what has been placed in you. As that rebuilding continues, the outer world will begin to reflect what is already changed within. The opportunities that belong to this new version of you are already being arranged. The doors that belong to this season are already set. The connections meant for who you are becoming are already in motion. There will be people around you who sense something different before you have fully landed in it yourself. They will notice a settledness in the way you speak, a steadiness that was not there before. Some will be drawn to it. Some will pull back from it. Both responses are information. I am not asking you to manage how others receive your growth. I am asking you to remain in it, to trust what is forming, and to stop making yourself smaller to fit into spaces that were built for an older version of you. Those spaces had their purpose. That purpose is done. You have often been someone who talked yourself out of the quiet certainties, who looked for external proof before allowing yourself to believe what was already becoming true on the inside. I am not asking you to stop thinking clearly. I'm asking you to stop using doubt as a wall. The work happening in you is real. The shift is real. The person you are becoming is not a fantasy. It is a finished picture I am working toward, and every day that passes brings it closer to what you will soon be able to see with your own eyes. The strength rising in you does not need to announce itself. It does not need recognition to exist. It is the kind of strength that moves through a room without demanding attention, that holds under pressure without needing to prove it can. You are becoming someone who no longer needs to convince others of their worth because they have stopped needing to convince themselves. That is a different order of confidence. It is quiet. It is grounded. It is growing in you right now, and I am not rushing it, because what grows slowly grows strong. What I am doing in you has a shape and a direction. It is not random movement. It is not a vague stirring of improvement without destination. I am building something specific, someone specific, and everything you are experiencing right now, every shift in your thinking and every change in your appetite, is part of that exact design. You are not the same person you were, and you will not be the same person a season from now that you are today. The work is not finished, but what is already visible is real, and it is only the beginning. I want to speak to you about what is being taken away, not to comfort you with explanations you were not ready to hear before, but because now, in this season, you are ready. There are things that have left your life, people who walked out, opportunities that did not materialize, seasons that closed before you felt finished with them. And you have been carrying questions about those departures that no one around you could properly answer. So I will answer them now. I am the one who moved those things. Not all loss is my design, but the specific removals you have been grieving, the ones that left you standing in silence, wondering what you did wrong, those were mine. Not because you failed, not because you were not enough, but because what I saw ahead of you could not coexist with what I removed. You cannot walk into a new territory carrying the full weight of an old one. I will not ask you to. Some of the people who left your life were not equipped to go where you are going. That is not a judgment of them. It is simply the reality of two paths that run alongside each other for a time and then divide. Your path is turning in a direction that requires a different kind of company. The ones who are meant to walk with you in this next season are not the ones who have already stepped back. I am not asking you to harden yourself toward those who left. I am asking you to trust that I know who belongs beside you and who does not. There are also doors that closed on you, efforts that came to nothing, plans that fell apart, openings that appeared and then sealed shut before you could step through. I know how that felt. I know the specific weight of watching something you worked toward come to nothing. But hear this. A closed door is not a verdict on your worth. It is a redirect. Not every path leads where you need to go, and I will not allow you to spend your strength on a road that ends too soon. When I close something, it is because the open door ahead is more specific, more right, and more aligned with what I have placed in you than the one I closed. There is something important about how I do this work. I do not explain every removal while it is happening. I do not narrate every shift as I make it. That is not cruelty. It is the nature of trust. If I explained every move as I made it, you would not be learning to walk by faith. You would be walking by information. And that is not the same thing. The walk I am calling you into requires a settled certainty that I am good, even when the evidence in front of you looks like loss. State, "I trust," if you believe my hand is over your life right now. You are also becoming someone who knows the difference between a temporary discomfort and a permanent loss. In the middle of a removal, everything can feel permanent. Every closed door feels like a final answer. Every departure feels like a conclusion. But I see the whole arc, and what looks like an ending from where you stand looks entirely different from where I stand. I see what you are walking toward. I know exactly what is being cleared to make room for it. And I am telling you now, what is coming is worth the clearing. There are old patterns in you that have also been in the process of being removed, and this is perhaps the quietest and most significant work I am doing. Patterns of thinking that led you back to the same cycles. Ways of seeing yourself that kept you from reaching for what I had placed ahead of you. Reflexes, the ones that made you flinch or shrink or apologize for what you needed. Those are the things I am pulling out at the root. This is not comfortable work. It is not supposed to be. You do not extract something deep without feeling the motion. What you are experiencing as unsettledness, as a kind of groundlessness in certain moments, is in part the sensation of those roots being moved. The old floor is being pulled up because a new one is being laid. You are not falling through. You are being transitioned. And the new ground beneath you will be more solid than anything you have stood on before, because it will be ground I built specifically for this version of you, not the version that entered the old season. Do not go back to retrieve what I have taken. This is important. When something leaves, and the absence creates pain, there is a pull to go back, to restore what was, to fill the space with the familiar. I'm asking you to resist that pull. The space I am creating in your life is not an accident. It is a form of preparation. What fills it next will not look like what was there before, and it will not need to. What I am bringing you will be recognizable, not because it resembles the past, but because it fits, because it aligns with who you actually are and where you are actually going. The season of removal is not a season of punishment. I am not extracting things from your life as a consequence for failure. I am doing what any skilled hand does when something worthwhile is being built, clearing the ground, removing what does not belong, making space for what does. You are a work in progress, and I do not apologize for treating you like one. I am building something in you and around you that requires precision, and precision requires removing what does not fit. Trust the clearing. Trust the silence where noise used to be. Trust the empty spaces that used to hold things you no longer have. I have not left you with less. I have made room for more, and more is exactly what is coming. I want to tell you what is growing inside you right now. Not what might grow, not what will grow someday if conditions improve. What is growing in you right now, in the middle of this exact season, in the middle of whatever pressure or uncertainty or change surrounds you. Because you need to hear what I see, not only what you feel. And what I see is a person in whom something strong is taking root. There is a quality forming in you that is different from determination. Determination can be forced. What I am building in you cannot be forced. It can only be grown. It is the kind of steadiness that does not need circumstances to cooperate in order to hold its shape. It is the kind of peace that does not dissolve when things get difficult. It is the kind of resolve that does not depend on an audience or on the encouragement of others to keep moving. I am building this in you. It is not finished. but it is real and it is deepening with every day that passes. You are learning patience without being lectured about it. That is the best way to learn it. Not by being told you need it, but by living inside a season that requires it. And you are learning. The urgency that once drove you into poor decisions, the restlessness that once made waiting feel like defeat, those are quieting. You are beginning to understand that not everything I am doing can be seen on the surface, and that the most important work often happens in the places you cannot observe. That understanding is changing how you move through your days. There is also a new relationship with your own mind forming in you. You are learning to observe your thoughts rather than simply live inside them. A thought arrives, and instead of being immediately pulled into its current, you're beginning to stand outside it and ask whether it is true, whether it belongs to you, whether it aligns with what you actually know. This is not a small development. This is one of the most significant things I can do in a person. Teach them to live in their own mind, with intention, rather than just reaction. You are learning this, and it is changing everything downstream. Your words are also shifting, not dramatically, not all at once, but the things you say about yourself and about your life are becoming more measured and more honest. You are speaking with less recklessness. You're beginning to understand that what you say aloud matters, not in a superstitious way, but in the way that all real things matter. Words shape attention. Attention shapes action. Action shapes life. You're learning to take your own voice seriously, and that is a sign of someone who is beginning to understand their own weight in the world. My child, I am asking you to place a portion of what you have, something of real weight, upon the altar of this work, as gold laid on the scales of this calling. Let it be a seed sown into deep water, an offering set on stone, not held back in fear. This is proof that your trust rests in my hand to provide, and that your heart no longer clings to lack. What you release in faith does not leave your life. It moves ahead of you into the harvest I am preparing. The inner life I am building in you will become the foundation of everything you do outwardly. You cannot build anything lasting on the outside that does not have a corresponding depth on the inside. This is why so much of my work in you right now is quiet, internal, and invisible to others. I am not neglecting the visible parts of your life. I am making sure that what I build there has something solid beneath it. A life built on changed circumstances alone will not hold. A life built on a genuinely changed person, that is what lasts. That is what I am building in you. You are also developing something in the area of discernment, a sharpened ability to sense what aligns with your path and what does not. It is not fully formed yet, but you are beginning to feel it. A quiet signal that rises when something is off. A sense of recognition when something is right. You have always had this, but it was buried under noise, under the urgency to please people, under the fear of missing out, under the habit of ignoring what you sensed in favor of what others expected. That noise is reducing, and as it reduces, you are beginning to hear clearly. I am also teaching you the value of your energy. You are not an unlimited resource. You were never meant to give yourself equally to everything and everyone who asked. The demands on you have never stopped, and for a long time you met them without asking whether they were yours to meet. You are starting to ask that question now. You are starting to notice when something drains you and when something restores you. You are starting to understand that protecting your energy is not selfishness, It is stewardship. And I am the one who placed that understanding inside you. The person you are becoming is not being formed in easy conditions. I am not building you in a greenhouse. The strength I am placing in you is being built in real weather, in real uncertainty, real pressure, real moments where the ground felt unstable and you had to find your footing anyway. This is how genuine strength forms. Not in the absence of difficulty, but in the presence of it. Standing, choosing, moving forward. And every time you have done that, something in you has become more capable of doing it again. Something in you has grown a ring, the way a tree grows in a hard season, thicker, denser, more able to hold. Something has changed in the way you see. Not your physical sight. The sight that matters most is the one happening beneath that. The way you read situations, the way you read people, the way you read your own life. There is a clarity forming in you that was not there before, and I want you to understand what it is and where it is coming from, because you will need it, and you will need to trust it. There are things that once pulled your attention without question. Urgencies that felt real but were not. Distractions that dressed themselves as opportunities. Conversations and situations that felt important in the moment and cost you days of your life. You are no longer as easily drawn by those things. You are beginning to notice the difference between what is genuinely calling you forward and what is simply making noise. That distinction, small as it may seem, is one of the most important things I can teach a person. And you are learning it. I am sharpening your discernment. Not the kind that makes you suspicious of everything or closed off from life, but the kind that gives you ground to stand on when a decision has to be made. The kind that helps you recognize when something aligns with your path and when it does not, even when it looks attractive on the surface. You have made choices in the past that looked right from the outside but felt wrong within hours. That feeling was real. I am making it louder, clearer, and harder to dismiss. Your priorities are also reshaping themselves. This is happening quietly but unmistakably. Things you once organized your life around are losing their position. Things you once treated as secondary are beginning to demand more of your attention and your care. This is not confusion about what matters. This is a realignment. I am recalibrating what holds weight in your life, and the process sometimes feels like disorientation before it settles into clarity. But settle it will. And when it does, you will look at your life and see it organized around something truer than what organized it before. You're also becoming more honest about how you have been spending your time. Not in a way that produces guilt, but in a way that produces change. You are starting to see where your hours have been going, what they have been building, and whether what they have been building is what you actually want. That kind of honesty is not comfortable, but it is necessary. I am not placing this awareness in you to burden you. I am placing it in you because you are ready to act on it, and because the life I have for you ahead requires that you show up to it with intention. There is a growing stillness in you as well, and it is one of the signs that I am most pleased to see. Not the stillness of someone who has given up, but the stillness of someone who has stopped needing to fill every silence with movement. You are learning to sit inside uncertainty without immediately trying to resolve it. You are learning to hold an unanswered question without it destabilizing you. That capacity to remain centered in the middle of what is not yet clear is something that most people spend their entire lives without developing. You are developing it now. Alongside the stillness, there is also a growing conviction in you about what you are called to. Not a loud, dramatic certainty, but a quiet and persistent knowing that has been growing in the background of your days. A sense of direction that does not require the approval of others to feel real. A knowledge of what you are built for that goes deeper than what you have yet been able to put into words. I place that knowing there. It is mine and it belongs to you, and no opinion in the world can take it from you once you decide to stand inside it. You are also learning to stop explaining yourself to people who have not asked to understand you. This is a profound form of freedom, and you are just beginning to walk in it. There was a time when you needed people around you to validate your path before you felt safe enough to walk it. You wanted agreement before you moved. You wanted endorsement before you believed. I am not saying that community is without value. I built you for relationship. But I am teaching you the difference between drawing on the wisdom of those who walk with you and depending on the approval of those who are simply watching. Every part of this sharpening serves a specific purpose. I am not increasing your discernment so that you can observe your life more clearly from a distance. I am increasing it so that you can move through your life more precisely, so that when the right opportunity comes, you will not mistake it for the wrong one, so that when the right person steps into your path, you will not dismiss them, so that when I open a door that is specifically yours, you will recognize it and step through it with confidence rather than hesitation. The person you are becoming can carry this level of sight. The older version of you might have found it overwhelming to see so clearly, to feel so precisely, to be so awake to what is right and what is wrong in the decisions in front of you. But the you that is rising now has the capacity for it. You have been built up to carry it, and you will use it well. Clarity is a gift, and I am giving it to you, not in one moment of sudden revelation, but as a steady and growing light inside you that is making your path more visible with every step you take forward. And that light does not fade. It is not borrowed from your circumstances. It is rooted in me, and I am not going anywhere. There is a new quality of confidence rising in you, and I want you to understand what kind it is, because it is nothing like what the world calls confidence. The world's version is loud. It announces itself. It leans on achievement and appearance, and the reactions of others to know whether it is real. What I am building in you is entirely different. It is quiet. It does not need applause to stand. It does not need agreement to hold its position. It rises from something deeper than performance, and it remains even when the room goes silent. This confidence is rooted in a settled understanding of who you are, not based on what you have produced or what others have said about you or how well things have gone. It is rooted in something I have been placing in you over time. A knowledge of your own worth that did not come from a single experience, but from a slow and steady work inside you that is now beginning to surface. You are starting to carry yourself differently, not arrogantly, but with the kind of quiet assurance that belongs to someone who knows they are not walking alone. As this confidence takes shape in you, something else is happening as well. You are beginning to draw different things into your life. The connections you are making, the opportunities that are presenting themselves, the situations you are finding yourself in. These are beginning to shift in quality. This is not coincidence, like calls to like. As the person you are becoming grows clearer and stronger, what you attract begins to match it. The old patterns of connection, where you gave more than you received, where you made yourself small to keep the peace, where you tolerated what you should not have, those are losing their grip on your life. The people who are meant to be part of this next season of your life are not the same kind of people you have been accustomed to. They are not people who need you to diminish yourself in order to feel comfortable. They are people who recognize what is in you, who value it, who contribute to your path rather than redirect it away from itself. Some of them are already close. Some of them are still on their way. But they are coming, and you will know them. Not by how much they impress you, but by how fully you can breathe when you are around them. I also want to speak to you about the relationships you are currently in, the ones that have been tested by this season of change. Not every relationship that has felt strained is one that needs to end. Some of the people who matter to you are simply adjusting to the version of you that is emerging. They are not threatened by your growth, but they are navigating it. Give them time. Not indefinitely, and not at the cost of who you're becoming, but with the patience of someone who understands that change requires adjustment from everyone it touches. The ones who are truly for you will find their footing. Receive this word now if you know it belongs to your life. You are also becoming more aware of what you bring into rooms and conversations. Your presence is not neutral. Something in you carries a quality that affects the atmosphere around you, not in a mystical way that requires explanation, but in the plain way that any person of substance affects their environment. You steady people. You bring a quality of attentiveness that others feel without being able to name. You carry a measure of calm that people around you draw on without asking for it. This is not burden, it is calling. And I am teaching you to carry it with intention rather than carelessness. There will be people who come to you with questions they cannot ask anyone else. People who are looking for something settled in the middle of their unsettledness. They will not always explain why they come to you, but they will come. And when they do, what you carry will be exactly what they need. Not because you have all the answers, but because the work I have done in you has made you a place where something solid can be found. This is part of what you are becoming, a person in whose presence others find ground to stand on. This is not a role that comes with performance. You do not have to manufacture it or maintain it by effort. It is something that flows from who you genuinely are, from the work that has already been done, and the work that is still continuing. The most powerful thing you can do is simply keep becoming what I am making you. Keep allowing the work. Keep choosing the path when it is uncomfortable. Keep moving forward when the forward motion feels uncertain. The influence that belongs to this version of you does not require that you pursue it. It will follow you. Your energy is also becoming more specific. You have learned to stop spreading it thinly across too many things and too many people. You are learning to concentrate it, to bring the full weight of your attention to the things that actually deserve it, and to hold back from the things that are simply consuming without giving anything in return. This is not a small discipline. It is one of the marks of someone who has begun to truly understand their own value. And it will compound over time into results that will surprise you. What I am forming in you is not a version of success that you have seen demonstrated in the lives of others and decided to imitate. It is something original to who you are, something that only you can carry in the exact way you will carry it. The path ahead of you is not a copy of anyone else's path. It is yours, designed around what I placed in you before you had words for any of it, shaped by everything you have lived and pointed toward a destination that was set before this season began. I want to speak to you about courage, not the kind that requires no fear, but the kind that moves forward while the fear is still present, the kind that does not wait for certainty before it acts, the kind that has been growing in you quietly under the surface of this season, and is now becoming strong enough to act on. Because there are things ahead of you that will require it. Not tomorrow, not someday, in the days and decisions that are already in front of you. There are things you have been putting off because you could not see how they would work out. Choices you have been circling rather than making. Directions you have felt pulled toward but held back from because the outcome was not guaranteed. I understand the logic of that hesitation. It feels responsible. It feels wise. But there comes a point where hesitation is no longer wisdom. It is simply a more comfortable name for fear. And I am telling you now, you are past that point. The time to act is not when everything is clear. The time to act is now, with the clarity you have, in the direction you already feel me pulling you. This does not mean recklessness. It does not mean moving without prayer or without consideration. It means trusting that I do not call people toward things and then abandon them in the middle of the journey. I have never asked you to walk somewhere and then left you to walk it alone. The fear you feel at the edge of a new decision is real, but it is not information about whether you should move. It is information about how much this matters. And the things that matter most are always the ones that cost the most to reach for. You have stood at edges before. You have felt the vertigo of not knowing what was on the other side, and you have made the choice to move anyway. You may not have called it courage at the time. You may have called it necessity or desperation, or simply the absence of any other option. But it was courage. And every time you moved forward at an edge, something in you grew that could not have grown any other way. That growth is part of what has made you ready for this season. And this season will ask for more of it. There is also something I want to say about timing. You have spent time wondering whether things will work out, whether the circumstances will align, whether the moment will be right. I want to replace that wondering with something more solid. My timing is not slow, it is precise. The things I am working toward in your life are not delayed, they are placed. Every moment that has felt like waiting has been a moment of positioning, of arranging what needed to be arranged, of preparing what needed to be prepared, of making certain that what comes to you comes at the moment that will serve it best. When a door opens before the right moment, what enters through it is not ready, and what you receive before you are ready does not stay. I have watched this happen in lives I love, and I will not do it to yours. I am not withholding what is good from you. I am making sure that when it comes, it finds you fully capable of receiving it, holding it, and building with it. That is not absence, that is care. And the delay you have felt is not punishment. It is precision. I also want to speak to the moments when you feel that you cannot go on. Not the dramatic version of that feeling, but the quiet, daily version. The mornings when the effort feels too much. The evenings when the distance still to travel looks larger than the ground already covered. I know those moments. I am in them with you. And what I want you to hold in those moments is this. You are not required to carry the full weight of what lies ahead. You're only required to take the next step, the one directly in front of you. One step with what you have, from where you are. That is all I ask in any given moment. The courage I am building in you is not for a single defining event. It is for the accumulation of daily choices. The decision to be honest when dishonesty would be easier. To speak when silence would be safer. To trust when doubt is what everything around you is offering. It is for the practice of showing up to your own life, fully, rather than at a reduced and manageable version of it. Every day you make those choices, the courage in you grows larger, and it is growing. There is also something being settled in you about your identity that is connected to all of this. You are becoming someone who knows, at a level that is harder and harder to shake, that your worth is not contingent on performance. It is not something you earn back after a failure. It is not something that diminishes when others are disappointed. It was given to you, it is held by me, and nothing that happens in the visible world can add to it or remove from it. Once that truth settles fully in you, it changes what you are willing to risk, because you are no longer risking your worth. Your worth is already secured. The path forward will not always be marked clearly. There will be seasons where the next step is visible and the step after that is not. That is not a failure of direction. That is the design of a journey that requires trust. I will show you what you need to see when you need to see it. I will not withhold the light required for the step in front of you. And I am asking you to trust that and to move. Not when the whole road is lit, but when the next step is clear. That is all trust has ever required. That is all I have ever asked. There is a moment coming, not a distant or hypothetical one, but one that is genuinely close, when you will look at your own life and not immediately recognize it. Not because it has become unrecognizable in a frightening way, but because it has become what you once could only barely allow yourself to hope for. You will stand in a season of your life and realize that the things that once held you have released you. That the weight you carried for so long has been set down. That the person you are is not the person who entered this season, and that the difference is so real and so complete that it will be difficult to remember exactly how the old version of you felt from the inside. I want you to receive that now, not as a distant promise, but as something already in motion, because it is. The arrival is not a single moment. It is the accumulation of every small movement you have made toward it. Every time you chose to trust instead of collapse. Every time you moved forward instead of retreating into the familiar. Every time you stayed in the discomfort of growth instead of escaping back into comfort. All of that is building towards something visible, and the visible part is closer than it appears. There is a peace that is settling in you that I want you to pay attention to. Not the peace of resolution, not the peace that comes when problems are solved and questions are answered. This is a different kind. It is the peace that arrives when a person has decided, at a level beneath words, that they are going to trust me completely. Not partially, not conditionally, not only in the areas where trust feels safe. Completely. That decision creates a quality of interior stillness that nothing on the outside can produce, and nothing on the outside can take away. I see that decision forming in you. I am honoring it. You have been through seasons that ask things of you that you were not sure you had to give. Seasons where the demands outweighed what you could see in yourself. And yet, here you are, not diminished, not broken, not reduced to a smaller version of what you were. Here and growing, and more than what you were before this season started. That is not a small thing. That is something I want you to sit with for a moment, not with pride, but with honest recognition. You're still here, and the you that is still here is not the same you that entered. Something has been added that was not there before. I am also establishing something in you that has to do with your future and the ones you love. The work I am doing in you does not stay within you. It flows outward. The stability I am building in you will create stability around you. The peace I am placing in you will reach the ones you carry in your prayers. The strength I am establishing in your foundation will become part of the foundation that those you love will stand on. Not because you make yourself into a burden bearer, but because people who love you will feel the solidity of what I have built in you and will draw steadiness from it. That is part of the purpose of this transformation. It was never only for you. There is also a new relationship forming between you and hope. Not the fragile kind that depends on good news to sustain itself, but the kind that has weight, that has roots, that does not fold when the circumstances argue against it. You have known the fragile kind, the hope that rises with good signs and collapses with bad ones. I am replacing that with something more substantial. A hope that is grounded in what I have said rather than what you see. A hope that stands in the middle of contradicting evidence because it is not founded on evidence to begin with. It is founded on me. I want to speak plainly about what the rest of this journey will look like, because I will not give you something you are not prepared for. It will not be without difficulty. There will still be seasons that press hard. There will still be moments of uncertainty and moments where the path requires more courage than the moment before. I am not promising you a life that never asks hard things of you. I am promising you a self that is equipped to meet them, and a presence that goes ahead of you into every one of them. You will not face a single thing alone. Not a single decision. Not a single moment of darkness. Not a single step of unfamiliar ground. I am already there. What changes is not that the road becomes easier. What changes is who you are on the road. The same distance feels different when you are carrying it from a place of strength rather than a place of depletion. The same challenge looks different when you face it with clarity rather than confusion. The same life opens up differently when the person living it has been rebuilt from the inside out and is no longer operating from the old fears and the old wounds and the old patterns that once determined everything. That is what I am building, and that rebuilt person is who you are becoming. You will not always be in this season of transition. This intensity, this rearrangement, this particular quality of internal pressure, it is not permanent. It is purposeful, and it is leading you somewhere. The other side of this season holds things that your heart has been reaching toward, things I have been arranging, things that are yours. Not because you earned them perfectly, but because I am a God who finishes what he starts. And I started something in you, and I will complete it. So hear this, and let it settle in the place where you keep the things that matter. I am not done with you. I have not exhausted my plans for your life. The best of what I have for you is not in your past. It is ahead. And the person you are becoming is exactly the person who is ready to receive it. Walk forward. Hold steady. Trust what you cannot yet see. The one doing the work is faithful, and the work will be finished. Say, yes, I receive this. If your heart is open to all that I have promised you today.
We run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.